My dog. And he can sit like on a corner.
Yeah,
How you doing?
So, Jill?
Yeah, come out here, make a right, and it's on the right by the door.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hang out here and wait for Andrew. What time do you have in tell you when?
Probably
time?
like 6 o'clock.
So, 6 o'clock? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll hang out here.
And Matt Howard has to go.
All right. Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, she must have got a hold of it.
Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. Good evening. One more time. Good evening. Great. We need you to really be excited and focused because you're going to hear some incredible stories tonight. I know you're going to enjoy some interchange between our young entrepreneurs and as well as our guest speakers this evening. I'm Beth Keeble. I'm the president and CEO of the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of our chamber and our foundation, I'd like to welcome you all here tonight for this amazing event. It's actually wonderful to stand here tonight beside my friend, Dr. Elia Watlington, who is the Associate Provost of the Northern campuses of Florida Atlantic University. And Florida Atlantic University plays a leading role in our chamber in a variety of capacities between the board of directors, not just of our chamber, but also of our foundation, which produces the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, but most specifically for tonight and hosting this amazing event. So this event is part of our 4th annual Young Entrepreneurs Academy, otherwise known as YEA. YEA is a groundbreaking 30-week, one-day-a-week program. Our students come in with some business ideas and they leave as executives or owners of an implemented business. It's really incredible. So as they sit here tonight, they've already been working on business plans. They're probably getting ready for the investor panel presentation, which is our Shark Tank-like activity where they make asks for investment dollars. And we have some very significant panelists that ask them some key questions about their business as well as the investment ask that they make. But they'll be launching and running a fully fledged company by the end of this, or a social movement. And this project-based program really empowers young people to take charge of their future. There's so much that the YEA program accomplishes beyond all of the business skills that they learn. There's so many other skills that take them into the future in terms of how they develop as young adults and how they deal with life situations and whatnot. Just a great program. So tonight we are here in Jupiter, which is the heart of Palm Beach, North Florida's Prosperity Coast. And hopefully you will all leave here knowing that you are part of a region comprised of 10 municipalities from Riviera Beach and Mangonia Park all the way up through to Cuesta, known as Palm Beach North. So we're thrilled to be in Palm Beach North and here on the FAU campus. I know we have some of our business partners here tonight. I'm going to be able to introduce a couple of our sponsors momentarily, but we also have mentors, we have instructors, we have people that dedicate countless hours in support of this program because they really care. They really care about our young people, their development, as well as entrepreneurship. And we're thrilled that many of them are here tonight, and we thank you. So with that being said, Dr. Watlington, would you give us a few words of welcome?
I would just love to welcome you to Florida Atlantic University Jupiter campus. And you know, just like all of you, we here at FAU are Palm Beach North. I'm the Associate Provost here on campus, and I have the pleasure for the last 4 years of being able to work with Beth and the Chamber and get to know the young entrepreneurs who are a part of the Young Entrepreneur Academy. And we have the middle 10 weeks of the program. We're very fortunate They've already got their business idea underway, and here they're working on computers in their sessions with their mentors, and they're learning all about how to advertise, how to promote, and refining that plan so they'll be ready for the Shark Tank. Right, guys? So they're here to pick up any comments they can from these two outstanding CEOs that are going to chat with them tonight. And I'm sure they are looking forward to the day that they are a CEO. But they did learn the prereq. You know, at the university, there's always a prereq. No matter what you do, you have to learn your prereqs. So do you remember how to put your owls up? Thank you. They got their prereqs. Everybody else can join them. Let's say, go owls. There you go.
Thank you so much, Dr. Watlington, and thank you to Florida Atlantic University for being such a tremendous partner for this program 4 years in a row. The other folks I'd like to introduce to you is we've had a presenting sponsor also for all 4 years, and that's the Hanley Foundation. I'm not sure if anyone from Hanley Foundation is here this evening. Well, we actually have a video to show you. Hanley Foundation actually put together a brief commercial several months ago that kind of gives the essence of what they're trying to promote. And could we run the commercial?
Family time doesn't have to take forever, but 15 minutes with this guy will last a lifetime.
Family time doesn't have to be a special occasion. It's just time with my family, and that makes it special. Family time might not get these guys in the NBA, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Dinner time doesn't always mean spending hours in the kitchen. Dinner time means family time.
We support family time because family time is time well spent.
Let's give a round of applause to Hanley Foundation. We could not produce this program without them, and they have been with us year after year after year and have committed into the future, so we thank them so much. And when you come to the investor panel presentation, you will actually see Jan Carnes up on the stage addressing the entire group. So next, I would like to introduce our event sponsor for this evening, Nat Nason with Nason Yeager.
Thank you, Beth. We're so proud to be the presenting sponsor here tonight, and I will tell you that Nason Yeager, as a firm, has been involved in this program for the last 4 years since it was started by the Palm Beach North Chamber. And we participated in doing some of the segments about teaching the kids about legal issues, and I sat on the Shark Tank one time. But it's amazing what you see, the growth in these kids as they come out and they first have the inkling of an idea, and then it germinates, and they get to talk to really talented people about how to bring that idea forward. And then by the time you see them at the end of this program making their pitches to the investor panel, you've really seen some incredible growth. And for that, I know that, I commend all the work that you guys have put in. I know we're going to see some great things when I think Tuesday, March 14th rolls around, which is their time. But we are the presenting sponsor, so you got to have a little bit of a commercial, and you'll get that now. Nason Yeager has been around for over 60 years. I got out of law school about 30 years ago, and I came to work there. I think I was number 7 lawyer-wise, and we now just hired number 30. We are a full-service business law firm. We cater to local, regional, and national businesses, as well as high-net-worth individuals in estate planning. I'm not a CEO. We don't have a CEO, but I'm one of 4 people that sit on the executive committee. So in that sense, I do have some duties and responsibilities that are CEO-like. And I've learned a couple things along the way. One of them is that you really, if you're going to be in the service industry particularly, you need to know how to deal with people. And just this morning, I came in and I told my secretary, "Have a nice day." She said, "Thanks," and went home. And I've also learned that you got to keep your sense of humor going through this whole thing called life. So if your needs do turn to legal needs, please think of us. We've been in the community for a long time, and we like to support the activities that we think are worthwhile in this community, like this event here. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Nat and Nason Yeager. And I've actually seen Mr. Nason in the classroom with students and starting our first year. And I know that first year, Nat, that was a pretty incredible experience, right? Just the level of questions and what have you, and the interaction. I would expect no less tonight, so really looking forward to it. So I actually tonight have the opportunity and privilege to serve as the facilitator for the discussions that we have, and I'd like to ask our guests if they could please make their way gingerly to the stage, maybe.
We're not that old.
I was speaking of myself. I'm going to briefly introduce them because they're going to share their stories with all of us. And I couldn't even think that I could possibly do it justice the way they could. But we have Mr. Daniel Kane, who is the CEO and co-founder of Modernizing Medicine and Blackboard, if any of you have heard of Blackboard. He's a serial entrepreneur and has helped millions with his businesses that he's launched. And I do want to add a little anecdote about Mr. Kane, and that is he was actually a part of the very first Young Entrepreneurs Academy that was launched in the state of Florida, which was down in Boca Raton. He has been a mentor ever since, and actually that very first year, he mentored a student that in its first year, this young lady made it all the way to nationals and won the national competition, and he still mentors her today. So if you want to find someone who is passionate about young entrepreneurs, always think of Dan Kane, and I actually found that out at first by accident. We were sitting together at an event. I'd also like to introduce Ms. Sheila Maines. She is the founder and CEO of Brownie Brittle. Does that sound good to everyone? Her signature desserts have made her one of the most popular entrepreneurs with consumers, and I've had the pleasure of hearing her story as well. I'm so excited that she will be sharing it with all of you. So let's give them a warm welcome. Okay, I think this works. And we're going to start with, each of them are going to take a few minutes to share some of the highlights of their story, their history, what made them such a smashing success, and what they do. I know I set the bar very high. And then we're going to open it up to questions from our young entrepreneurs. So, Mr. Kane, would you start us off?
I've been doing it for 15 years.
The good news is, this is all being recorded.
That's really pleasant. Okay, so Dan Kane, and it was not all that long ago that I was sitting, we didn't have YEA, but I am a product of South Florida. I went to school down here, I went to Lake Worth High School. In the very condensed version of the story is from Lake Worth High, I went to Cornell University, where between my freshman and sophomore year, I founded a company called Blackboard. Blackboard was created to help solve a need, which was simply to bridge the gap between what students and faculty needed to post course materials online, to find ways to connect, do group projects, and sort of things that today we, I think, kind of take for granted. All of this was founded before there was an internet. So Blackboard was created in the day and age when technology was really intranet-based, kind of just at the university. But in the time that I was there, starting in 1995, the internet was born. We saw an opportunity to take that technology and expand it to the entire university. Pretty soon there was demand for that across universities. I hired my housemates. From there, we raised some venture capital. We ended up raising quite a bit of venture, about $300 million. We then took the company public on the NASDAQ, grew to about 4,000 employees, and eventually sold the company to a large private equity fund for pretty penny. So it was a wonderful growth. In the course of doing that, made every mistake imaginable, and learned a lot from it. And today, there are programs like YEA, where you can start and learn about how to found a business, some of the nuances of the financial aspects and marketing aspects and positioning aspects and pitch aspects. Things that even though I went to a very prestigious university, there were no undergraduate programs that would even prepare you for the types of things I was doing. So you're at a very fortunate time where a couple things have changed. The idea of a 21-year-old CEO before the dot-com age didn't exist. No one would give a young person credibility or certainly funding without sort of what has happened. So in a lot of ways, it took us sort of falling and making a lot of mistakes and sometimes even doing things right to build some companies that today are brand names in the industry. Blackboard today serves probably 80% of the entire US higher education. It's in 120 different countries and 22 languages and still employs thousands of people. So that was a really fun adventure. And then today I'm CEO of Modernizing Medicine, which I founded after selling Blackboard. I came down here, ran into a physician, and the very short version of that story is realized that there were opportunities to help transform healthcare, to make it more efficient, to use technologies like iPads in the cloud to drive up the efficiencies and lower the cost. We started with a very simple technology focused on dermatologists, so skin doctors, and today have about 40% of the entire dermatology market using the platform, and hundreds of employees, over 500 employees here in Boca. So I've learned a few things along the way about how to create a company, write a business plan. Yes, even after my 5th company, for Modernizing Medicine, I wrote a business plan. Raise capital, and in our case, we raised it from our customers because they had access to the technology even before we raised it professionally out there. We've raised over $90 million of venture today for Modernizing Medicine. It is privately held. We have offices in 3 areas of Florida and in Silicon Valley. So that's just sort of a high-level overview, but I've done it a few times. I've mentored some students who've gone on to do very good things at YEA. I've mentored the FAU Business Plan competition, and the teams there have occasionally even won. So hopefully, throughout tonight, you guys can ask me questions and maybe get a tidbit of wisdom or two.
There we go. Thank you. I'm Sheila G. Maines, founder and creator of Brownie Brittle, and also a mother of an FAU graduate with highest honors. Thank you so much. You've done very well, and so is she. Although she now works with me, but anyway, we're loving it. So my story goes back to 1992. I was living in the corporate world. I was controller of an industrial advertising agency, worked my way up to executive vice president, to that coveted corner office with 2 windows. And then one Friday, I was called into a bigger corner office and told that was going to be my last day. The company had suffered major losses. I pretty much thought I was going to go down with the ship if I could help save it. But that was not the case, and I was devastated. And as I sat there in the unemployment line that Monday morning watching all the Friday afternoon casualties walk through the door, I thought, I don't think there's going to be enough executive VP positions to go around. And, you know, I had always given 150%. I couldn't see myself ever giving any less. And I knew I couldn't do it working for someone else. So I decided that day, at the age of 42, with 2 children to support, that I was going to do what I love. And I love to bake. And I had this treasured family recipe for brownies. My mother and my grandmother were phenomenal bakers, and their love of baking was contagious. So that was going to be my desperately needed plan B, brownies. And I started that business, thought I'd give it 3 months, and here we are 24 years later. A lot of ups and downs along the way. And I found myself actually in 2008 with the housing crisis needing another plan B, because the business that I had established was mostly food service, selling to restaurants, hotels, actually landing a wonderful account called Walt Disney World, being their primary brownie vendor. But during that period of time, people weren't saving their money to go to Disney, they were trying to save their homes. And they weren't eating out, and when they weren't ordering a $5 brownie sundae. So sales were plummeting, and I needed another plan B, but this time it was plan BB. And that was brownie brittle. I always loved the corner pieces of the brownies, and I loved the drippings on the side of the pan. And I thought I was the only one. And, you know, being in the brownie business for that many years, I knew there were only 4 corners, no matter what size pan you had. So what I used to do is go out to the back of the plant and pick the drippings off the side of the pan around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was after about, I don't know, a couple of weeks, I found those pickings were getting scarce, and I thought the baker was all of a sudden getting pretty neat. Till one day I went out there just a little bit earlier, and everybody working the line was snacking on those chocolate drippings, those crisp, rich chocolate. I thought, you know, light bulb, maybe we've got something here. So I started playing around with the batter, spreading it thin in the pan, and brownie brittle was born. So pretty excited to say that really launched in 2011, 2012, between January 1st and July. We did about $500,000 in sales, and then from July to December, 8 million. And it has grown ever since, doubled, tripled, and it couldn't have been done without just an amazing team. Marketing, sales, operations. I can take credit for a great idea, but it took a village to really catapult it into the marketplace. And I am grateful to each and every one of them. And also grateful for the ability to give back, both as a mentor to members of the specialty food industry, and then to the many organizations that we support. Like Cookies for Kids Cancer, Kids Community Closet locally, Canine Companions for Independence, and of course the Palm Beach County Food Bank. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's pretty amazing to have 2 incredible entrepreneurs right here in Palm Beach County. So they didn't have too far to go. Boca might have been a little farther than others, but not too far to go, right here in Palm Beach County. And I know that our young entrepreneurs here are probably chomping at the bit to ask you some questions. And who will we start with?
Hi, my name is Michael Howard, and I'm in 10th grade at Jupiter Christian School. My business is a service-based business, and I have a few questions for you, Ms. Waynes.
Okay.
First, who is your mentor that you maybe looked up to at the time, or that inspired you to do what you've done?
You know, as far as like inspiring me to do what I did, finding myself unemployed and needing to do something, and I think part of the plan B and the baking was a healing for me. You know, like baking always brought me back to better times with a house filling with aromas, and I think being at that point where I was so devastated, I needed that very badly. So that was like the inspiration, really wanting to do what I love versus what brought in the big bucks. But the mentors that I had along the way, I had 2. One is my current partner today, Jerry Bello, who had taken, I don't know if you're familiar with a product called Veggie Straws. He was CEO and founder of a company called Sensible Portions. And Jerry and I partnered together back in 2012, and I think his sage advice and guidance has been extremely helpful to me. And prior to that, a friend named Dan Chiodo, who was also an early investor in the brownie business. One of the great things I'm most grateful for was that I did have investors and I was able to pay them back. But the friendship continued, and I turned to him from time to time for his sage advice as well.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? How did you make that connection with him?
With Jerry?
Yes.
You know, it's a very small world in the food industry, and there's a whole background story. I had gotten burned pretty badly. The product was just about to launch, about to take off. And I was working with a group that was very involved in the specialty food industry that took the product to a couple trade shows, got excited about it. I began selling to them. They began selling it to their retailers and distributors, and then waited until my biggest month in sales and lined their pockets with my receivables. Yeah, it was pretty devastating, and as I said, small world in the industry, and Jerry had heard about it and reached out and said, I love your product, how can I help? And we got together and, you know, fortunately through he had just sold his company for over like $100 million to Hanes Celestial Foods. And so he was looking for something else to do and thought, oh my gosh, you know, what would happen if we just got together? He and his team, he had operations, he had marketing, he had he had the graphic artist, he had, you know, everything that I needed, and the relationships. And I think that's very important, those relationships, that you never burn a bridge. And we were able together to catapult the product into the marketplace. So, yeah.
It's a very good lesson for everyone.
Yeah. Good or bad, the word gets around.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Asher Moss. I'm in 8th grade at the high school. My business is a non-profit service business. My question is for Mrs. Maines. I was wondering, how did you get your brownie brittle into major supermarkets?
Well, you know, again, it goes back to relationships. The first thing that we did was approach the club stores for 2 reasons. In order to commercialize this product, to actually make money at it, was a very labor-intensive process when I first started. So in order to commercialize this process, we needed tunnel ovens, and these ovens are like 300 feet long. That's a lot of ingredients. So you need a huge order to get things rolling. So we first approached club stores, which means Costco, Sam's, BJ's. 2 things about this that benefited the brand and the product was that we got the volume of orders that we needed, but with those retailers, we were able to drive trial. And that was very important because, as I used to say about Brownie Brittle, we've created a product that no one's ever heard of before. That's the good news. And the bad news is we've created a product that no one's ever heard of before. So a consumer has about 30 seconds as they're walking down the aisle at Costco to decide what they're going to buy. And if they don't know what Brownie Brittle is, if they haven't tried it, then, you know, we need to get those demos going. So Costco, Sam's, BJ's gave us the ability to drive trial, demo the product, and then what happened was simultaneously we were working on the retailers to bring it in, the Publix, the Kroger's, the Safeways, all of those retailers. And by the time we were able to get it on shelf, these Costco consumers and club store consumers were calling us going, love your product, what other flavors do you have and where else can I buy it? Because they really only go into the club stores every 4 to 6 weeks. So we were driving them into the retailers. And that certainly gave us the lift that we need to not only get on shelf, but stay on shelf.
Hello, my name is Christopher Sosa. I'm in 7th grade at the Y School, and I have a product-based business. I have a question for both of you. How many times have you had some kind of problem with your business, and what were those problems?
Get comfortable.
Sit back, buddy.
We only have 45 minutes.
So the honest answer is that there are problems every single day. With every single business, there's always opportunities, there's always something that isn't going according to plan that you want. I mean, no plan survives contact with the enemy, you know, without intense modification. So you need to always be adapting. 2 biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. One is they don't write a business plan, they don't have a plan. Second biggest mistake is that those that write a plan just stick to it every day, and they don't actually look at and anticipate changes or changing in their industry or changes in their own business. So you need to be adaptable, you need to be nimble, and you need to constantly be responding to it. But I'd say every day is an opportunity to solve problems and move your agenda forward. Sometimes it can be really small problems, little issues that come up in the course of business. Other times they can be sort of, company-ending events. But what I have found, and it sounds like you were telling a story very similar to this, is those, potential sort of company-ending events or opportunities for you to really think outside the box and innovate. And in your case, going from brownies to brownie brittle, maybe wouldn't have happened without a problem in the housing industry that had nothing to do with your business, but affected it, got back to you, and now instead of it being a problem, the business went from a respectable business to something that is now all over the world. So problems are just opportunities through another lens.
I totally agree. Owning a business, running a business, being an entrepreneur is about problem solving every day. I can think back on three situations. One was when I first launched the brownie business. It was tins and platters, and it didn't take me long to realize that this business was never gonna replace my salary, and I had 2 kids to support. So it was going into wholesale, and wholesale took me in an entirely different direction. But it also eventually offered me the opportunity to do a presentation in front of 12 executive chefs at Walt Disney World. And that put the brand on the map, the brownie business, and helped me bring in a salary. The 2008 housing crisis was another situation. The brownie business was going along just fine. But the 2008 housing crisis hit. And I needed to find those same customers. They weren't in the restaurants, they weren't at Disney, they had to be in the grocery store. Walking into a grocery store and saying, hey, you want to buy my brownies? Forget it. It's a Me Too item. Anybody can make a brownie. And that's what I would hear. Our cheesecake guy can make a brownie, whoever. But they weren't going to tell me that we already have a brownie brittle. There wasn't any product like it on the market. My work was cut out for me, but they liked the idea of something unique. So that was, where I had to dig in, lean in, and change direction, learn an entire different part of the business, the industry. And then, of course, when these guys burned me in 2011, once again, digging in, finding resources, figuring out how I was going to survive. And I can tell you very honestly, I sold my gold jewelry at $17.26 an ounce when the prices were high. I sold my engagement ring. I did everything I could until I could find the right investors to help me get back on my feet and keep this thing going. Well, I kept it going with, but that's what you do. It's about personal sacrifice and rolling up your sleeves and digging in and trying to figure it out if you really believe in what you're doing and the potential success.
One quick takeaway here. Yeah, absolutely.
I replaced the ring.
Right, the ring is back, you know that. One sort of great concept that's in there that I want to make sure we take out and shine up is the notion that great entrepreneurs are solving problems, right? And it's one thing to try to solve a problem differently or better than someone else has tried to solve a problem, and there's lots of success that follows in those footsteps. But the truly breakout companies are ones that solve a problem that people don't even realize they have, then spend a little bit of time educating the market on the need that they didn't even know existed, convincing people that, no, I really do need that product, need that service, need to think about whether it's education or healthcare in an entirely different way. And now you're the only company that's out there really, with the bullseye need, with the bullseye product, sort of showing people how it's done. And then others will follow you. You won't be alone for long, but you have that breakout potential. When you identify a need, kind of before other people do it. The trick is, the hard part is educating people that they even have the problem. Right? And so take that into account. You can't solve a need so obscure that people don't really feel the pain of whatever it is you're solving. But in the case of brownie brittle, I mean, That's the product no one knew they needed to have until you showed them, and now they can't stop. So.
Thank you. Some people call it chocolate crack. I've never referred to it that way, but you're all going to find out, right, Nance? We brought some product here, yeah. Whether you like what I have to say or not, you're going to go home happy.
Well, and I think it also brings up the point of differentiating your product or service, and I know that your mentors have been working with all of you on that, because that'll be very important too as you get ready to make your pitches to the investor panel, so keep that in mind. Next question.
My name is Evan Rivera. I'm considered in the Way School, and my business is a service-based business. I have a question for Mr. Kane. How did you attract investors?
So it's a courtship. So the question around attracting investors. So the skip to the punchline is you need to have a business and a model that they believe in. Attracting investors pre-revenue is nearly impossible. Friends and family, your customers, these are all really good sources of early stage capital. But if you really want to attract a big investor, you need to show that you have a business model that's already working at a small scale, and then you'll be able to attract them to help scale your business larger. No investor who's a true kind of, wear it on the sleeve, I invest in companies, actually understands your business. Investors follow the money. And so what you need to do as an entrepreneur is get yourself to a level of sustainability where you're generating revenue, and now you're approaching them and say, look, I've already proven that other people will part with their money for your product or service. But now what you need is their money to scale it up, to scale it out, to reach entirely new heights. And that's sellable. Trying to raise money on an idea, a concept, they are, unfortunately, everyone has ideas and concepts and prototypes, and investors will only really get behind you when you've shown them that other people will pay for whatever it is you're doing. You don't need a lot of revenue, but you need to show trailing revenue. That's the real trick to raising capital. And then know this, and this is absolutely true, there are trillions of dollars, not an exaggeration, on the sidelines trying to get into the talent. Right? And you are the talent, right? You who have the idea and the ability to execute it. That's the scarcity. Money is, there's more money out there than you know what to do with. But the trick is to show people, yourselves, your future investors, your clients, that you have something worth investing in that needs scale. And then the money will flow. And it doesn't matter where you are. Anyone who says you need to move, Boston, Austin, Silicon Valley, you can raise capital right here. We've raised $90 million right here. Because the money will find you wherever you are. You just need to show them that you've got something worth investing in.
Right?
Very good.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Taube. I'm 10th grader with Palm Beach Gardens High School. My business is service-based, and I have a question for Mr. Kane. How did you get Blackboard into school?
So Blackboard was one of those that was a solution that was trying to educate people to the problem. The concept of education had been around for literally hundreds of years before Blackboard, and will continue to be around for thousands of years into the future. So the whole idea of needing to put something online didn't exist until there was an internet. And even then, most students and faculty were like, I don't understand the need to do this. Once people saw the convenience of being able to bridge time, space, and location by having content available anytime, anywhere, on any device. And students could connect with other students and upload their assignments and check their grades, and the faculty could reach a much greater audience and connect with students in an entirely different way. It started to move itself. So once the internet kind of took, every school was looking for something that could help them get online. The real buried question there is how did Blackboard, because there was a Dan Kane at every university in this country. There was a student, an undergrad, a grad student, who knew how to program, I barely knew how to program, who could build a website or write software to help build websites at every university there was. The reason Blackboard became so successful is we focused on the design of the thing and the usability of it. Because we understood that our target audience were not the tech-savvy professors, it was the anthropology professor, or the Latin professor, the English professor, or the economics professor, who wanted to get their content online, who didn't want to learn how to use a new tool. And so we focused on usability, we focused on design. It's something that's helped me in all of my businesses. I'd say the key reason Modernizing Medicine has done so well is it is a easy-to-use, intuitive iPad application versus everything else is this clunky typing, click, drag, client-server type of app. So usability and design are huge differentiators. And the reason Blackboard became so successful in schools is we knew who our target audience was, and it wasn't always the person buying the product, the dean or the provost or the CIO. It was the professor who just wanted to teach. That was their passion, that was their calling, and we had a product that would let them do that without them learning something that wasn't intuitive.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bree Smith. I'm a junior at Dwyer, but I'm graduating this year. And my question to both of you is, do you have any advice or information that you wish you knew before starting your business?
Tons. How long do we have? For me, I would say, trust your gut. You know, I think the number of times that I've gotten myself in trouble, I wouldn't say in trouble, but took the wrong path, I knew. Bells and whistles were going off, and I didn't listen. And as I look back, I knew all the signs and signals were there. Now I know. And when those bells and whistles go off, I listen and I take action.
And the thing I wish I knew then that I know now, that if I could teleport back in time, I guess teleport in time don't really go the same way, but if I could go back in time and tell the younger me, it would be to enjoy every stage of it. Because I was one of these kids, and it sounds like if you're a junior about to graduate, you might have the same condition I did, that was always in a rush to get to the next thing. Like I couldn't wait to get to the next stage of whether it was education or business. Just for me, the thing I wanted was always just around the next corner, and I was going to work so hard to get there. And I didn't take as much time to celebrate the victories and the success and enjoy it as good. I mean, I had a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But just to go back and say it's really the journey, it's not the destination. The day we took Blackboard public, it was actually a wonderfully anticlimactic day. And that's what I had my goal set out since I started in college. I'm like, I want to build a company and take it public and see it there on the NASDAQ. And I had all those things. And I realized that what I treasured most wasn't the bank account. It was my friends standing around me and what we had accomplished. And we celebrated that night. And then from that day forward, I really pledged to myself that all the little victories. So we don't have anyone here from Modernizing Medicine, but we celebrate everything. Like we celebrate the tiniest little victories, the little wins, the big wins, all the milestones, because the journey is so much more important and so much more enjoyable when you take the time, not just to sort of try to push yourself to the next thing, but when you're in the moment and just realizing how proud of you and the team and everyone else is of you. So enjoy it, because it goes by quick.
That's great. Who we have next?
Hi, my name is Maddie.
I'm in 9th grade at Oxbridge Academy, and my question is for both of you. Was there ever a time while creating your business that you wanted to give up, and why?
Answer? No. I think there were a lot of people that wanted me to give up, and but no. And there were times where I thought, whatever is going on, whatever roadblock I hit, and I'd go, is the universe trying to tell me something? But no, I never wanted to give up. And my advice is that if you're heading down that path, surround yourself with people that support you, and don't listen to the naysayers. Just keep going if you truly believe. And with Brownie Brittle, I believed when I had nothing to believe, no reason to believe. And I surrounded myself with people that supported that belief and just kept my head down and kept going.
That's great advice. It's so true. An entrepreneur that doesn't believe in themselves can't possibly inspire people around them to believe in the idea and the vision. So you can never, as soon as if that thought, if you feed that beast, that you're not good enough, the business is good enough, you're never going to make it, then that'll be what wins. And people will see right through that. And so as an entrepreneur, if you don't think, have I ever thought we weren't going to make it? All the time. Very different than did I not believe and did I want to give up. And we found ways. I mean, we missed payroll repeatedly at Blackboard. And each time heading into it, we see the wall coming, and we're telling people, brace yourself, we're going to hit this, but we think we've got other financing lined up, and this bridge, and this loan, and this debt, and then you hit Friday and you can't make payroll. I mean, it's devastating. It should end the company, but it doesn't. Because the team believes in you and the vision, and you believe in you, and then 4 days later, you close a round of financing, and the bank comes through with the loan, the bridge, and then you get the contract, and then the business not only survives, but thrives. And those people that believe in you are so much stronger for it. So those are really hard experiences. By the way, never try not to make payroll. But you, I mean, that belief in your, it's willpower. And entrepreneurs, and sort of, there's a little bit of insanity and a lot of will, and a lot of grit. And that's sort of the recipe for a great entrepreneur. Maybe a lot of insanity, but it's that grit, that drive, that determination to do something that creates something out of nothing, that it's a very special thing. And the skills of being a good entrepreneur, the business skills can be taught, but the grit and determination has to be something that comes from within. And the combination of the two, that's a lot of what YEA is about, and that's what you're getting. These are tools, and without the right tools, every problem looks the same, right? It's the old adage that if all you have is a hammer, every problem starts to look like a nail, and you just try to whack at it the same way. This will give you different tools. And with those tools, you can build amazing things. Those were mistakes that I made because I didn't know them. But over your careers, you will learn so many different techniques to fund businesses, to grow businesses, to connect. But the core drive, that belief in yourself, is something that only you can determine. Whether you believe in yourself and you believe in your vision, and you're going to make it.
Just
Well said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, well said, I totally agree, yes.
Just to kind of follow up on that, since I'm responsible for clock management, I know I've got a little bit of time here. Because I know, in Mr. Kane's case, I've heard you address the term failure. So what does, many of us think of the word failure as a negative term, but I know an entrepreneur does not. So could you share with us just how you view that and how it may have benefited you?
Sure. So my mentors, in sort of, I have real life mentors who teach me actual pragmatic, practical things, but my inspiration is Edison. And Edison was a brilliant entrepreneur and inventor. And he would repeatedly get asked questions when he was trying to invent the light bulb, amongst other things. And people would go in and they'd see all these failed experiments. And they would look at him and like, all it looks like you're doing is failure all over the place. And he'd be like, no, you got it wrong. I've learned 100 ways not to make a light bulb work. And so it's true. I mean, there are so many different times when the experiment will fail and you're learning ways not to accomplish a goal. And as long as you learn from them and don't repeat them, that's progress. Understanding, though, when a business truly won't work, if it's going to fail as a business, not as a... This is one of the only countries, not the only, but one of the only countries that a failed entrepreneur is a badge of honor that you have to earn, and that isn't a black strike against you for the rest of your life. Anyone who ever applies for jobs at my company and tells me about their entrepreneurial endeavor and the failure they had trying to build X or build Y, but they can go on and on about how passionate they were and how they did this in their business plan and their attempt to raise funds, and the destination, again, isn't the important thing. It's that sitting across from me is someone who was determined, who had an idea to build something, and if it doesn't work because it doesn't work, or you couldn't invent it, or you couldn't raise funds, the grit that sort of got you there is essential. And so I talk about failure. A lot of failure is good learning. There also is this concept, though, if you're going to fail fast and move on to the next concept. And so Edison didn't dwell on any of those one inventions. He would try different experiments, different filaments, different wattage, different power, different. He just kept varying the experiment until he found one that worked. You need to do the same thing with your businesses, because I guarantee whatever your business plan says, when you look at it 5 years after being successful, it's going to read a little bit differently then than it does today.
Thank you so much. Move on to the next question.
Hi, my name's Leah Morgan, and I'm in 10th grade at Palm Beach Gardens High School. My question is for both of you. What are the most important decisions you make as a leader of your organization?
Culture is everything. The most important decisions I make are around my team, who I surround myself with, to your point, and the types of things that we're going to go for, how we communicate, how we share vision. I spend 80% of my time on my culture. And what does that actually mean if I break down my day? I spend almost all of it with people. And very little of it is sort of opining on what's the next strategic thing we're going to do, or company we should acquire, or vertical we should go in. That's a teeny tiny percent of my time. Most of my time is with my employees. And I've oriented every one of my 535 employees. I have breakfast and lunch with them. We cater meals in. We talk all the time. And that culture, that spirit, when you walk into my office, I was talking with some of the people here at the chamber who toured the office, you feel it immediately. So one of the most important things you can do is invest in your culture. It comes through every hire you make, it comes through every action you take, it comes from how involved you are in the community, but there is nothing more important to a company than that drive that comes from each employee's desire to want to be there rather than getting paid to be there.
And I would say very similarly, listening to members of my team, really listening to what they have to say, and knowing that their comments, their ideas are taken seriously, but also on the other side, since we deal with consumers, listening to them. And if they've got ideas, if they've got complaints, we're extremely responsive. We take a great deal of pride in our customer service team and making sure that we not only deliver if there's a problem, but we over-deliver. And I think that's a very important part of building a business. It's great to get those consumers, but keeping them is something else. So that's one of our #1 priorities.
Great questions and great insights, so let's keep that rolling. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Matthew Rubin. I'm in 10th grade at Dwyer. And what is your greatest accomplishment? Oh, my question's for both of you.
Okay, for me, creating brownie brittle, bringing it to market, I think not just because it was it's a unique product, but because we actually created an entirely new category in the snacking channel. There's been a lot of Me Too's after this, or knockoffs, wannabe brownie brittles. Fortunately, we haven't seen them succeed, certainly not to the level where we are. I think we've kind of made our footprint in the marketplace, but along with that are, you might see all these new thin, crispy cookies out there on the market. So these did not exist before brownie brittle. But this also creates, not challenges, but opportunities for us. We have to keep things fresh, continue to innovate, always look over our shoulder at the competition, and make sure that we are the leader.
So, greatest accomplishment are the 3 products I've launched, ages 9, 11, and 13. They aren't here tonight. They're not following in my entrepreneurial footprint. They are paving their own path. But those are by far my greatest accomplishments. From the business perspective, creating an indelible mark on an industry feels pretty darn good. And being the godfather of e-learning and creating an industry that is Blackboard is still worth billions, but there are now hundreds of companies in an e-learning ecosystem that didn't exist before we got there. So leaving a truly indelible mark on an industry is big, and resistant to change is education. Getting a chance to do it again in healthcare. And then probably my favorite thing to do, my accomplishments, again, while they're not necessarily my children, the people I've mentored have gone on to do really inspirational things. And so I take such joy in watching them achieve wonderful things. I wish I could mentor dozens of companies. At any given time, I'm mentoring 1 or 2. But it's knowing that I'm investing in the next generation of people who are going to themselves make that big disruption and make a big difference in this world. Because we don't get very long here, and we've got to leave it a little bit better than when we found it. And so all of my companies, by the way, are kind of social good type of entities, right? I want to fix healthcare, fix education. We could take these gifts that we have and use it to just make money, and that's not what gets me out of bed each day. Certainly not what's our team out of bed each day. It's making a real difference that matters to our doctors and our patients at Modern Arts of Medicine, or students and faculty at Blackboard.
Excellent. Next question.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Gabe Coughlin. I'm in 12th grade at Cardinal Newman High School, and my question is for the both of you guys. How do you guys advertise your business?
For us, back when there wasn't a whole lot of money to spend on advertising, It was all grassroots. It was social digital, building a Facebook audience and advertising through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then certainly that has evolved to now, I don't know if you've seen our TV ads, but we're doing some TV advertising, and then of course digital and print coupons. So getting the word out there, getting the product on shelf is one thing. The push marketing, it's a pull marketing, making sure that those bags are moving off the shelf. So that's our goal and main objective at this point.
So there's a great fishing adage, which are you fish where the fish are. And in my case, I'm not trying to serve all of healthcare. We've got a handful of specialties. So I may be the greatest healthcare IT company you've never heard of, but if you're a dermatologist or an ophthalmologist, I guarantee you've heard of Modernizing Medicine. So it's important to really focus your attention on knowing who your customer is and then focusing your attention on getting to them. I don't envy what you have to do because you've got to throw a small rock into a huge pond and make the ripples somehow get to the edges and back. I get to throw a really big rock into a small pond, right? There are 12,000 dermatologists in the entire country. They attend 2 key conferences a year. I have a massive presence at those conferences. I saturate the 4 throwaway journals they read. So understanding and having a real plan on who's my target audience and how do I reach them wherever they might be. So your target audience is anyone with a mouth and a taste for sweets, which is everyone. I've got a slightly more specific audience. And you can be successful, very different tools for very different things. Like I don't need a huge social media presence outside of the niches where my users are. So, you won't see me posting generally or buying ads on big name radio or television or journals, but if you get anything in the specialties I serve, you'll be saturated by it. So, good takeaway.
As a follow-up to that, could you help us understand how, like, the advent of using digital technology for advertising has it changed your approach to anything, the way that you target and whatnot? I think it might be useful for them to have a couple more takeaways on it.
For us, and Nancy Eichler here, who is our VP of Marketing and who is just an amazing social digital marketing guru, who, we could launch a campaign in, let's say, Publix and geo-target Publix consumers. Let them know we're moving, like for instance right now with Publix, we're moving from the deli aisle to the cookie aisle. We have to let those consumers know. So getting out there and running promotions at Target across the U.S. and focusing on target consumers. Even our bag redesign, we did a bag refresh in 2014, and we were all divided. I liked one bag design, and there were a couple others that agreed with me, but there were others that liked another bag design, and I said, let's just put it out there on Facebook and see what our fans like. And what they chose is what they went with, what we went with. So it's been incredibly valuable to test, flavors. And of course, we hear from them all the time, what they want to see next. So we listen.
And we're living in an age where you can absolutely hyper-target your end users, especially online. And the footprint people leave online, even when they're trying not to leave a footprint, they're leaving a footprint. So you can use all that information. Again, for our case, if you happen to stumble across modmed.com, right, my website, you will forever forward see my ads because of targeted remarketing, right? And so until you clear cookies, you will see Modernizing Medicine. And then if I can find out where you live, and if we're having an event in your area, you'll start to see advertising around the event. And you'll start to see banner ads and get things on the top of your email. I mean, we spend a fair amount of time and money doing that hyper focus, and it's not just the demographic information, so where you are geographically and maybe your income, but it's getting down to your psychographic profile, understanding your buying behaviors, understanding the type of impulse buy you are. So companies like Facebook and LinkedIn and Amazon You can get so hyper-specific on targeting your ads. Google is more at a higher level, good around geographic targeting and keyword search. But your ability to target your product to your audience, if you know who your audience is, you've got tremendous tools at your disposal to be able to get ads in front of them.
We even work with a company called Ibotta, and we do coupons through Ibotta. And through this program, you walk into your Costco, and it's going to send you a message. Don't forget to pick up a bag of brownie brittle, and here's $1 off. Yeah.
That's great. I can tell you from the chamber perspective, we're taking notes on all this, right? We have Angelique Allen, who's responsible for our marketing and events, and we also have our IT representative here, Sean Reed. So I know they're taking copious notes right there. We'll put a game plan together after our rock. Okay, how about our next question?
Hi, my name is Alexander Shimka. I'm in 8th grade at Duncan Middle, and I'm a service-based business. My question for both of you is, what made you want to become an entrepreneur?
For me, I don't think I had a choice. I was out of work and needed something to dig my heels into and get excited about. I knew that I could go to work for someone and give them 150%, and I wanted to do what I loved. I was 42 years old, and I thought now is the time. And I actually said, I'll give it 3 months, and 24 years later, here I am. A 20-year overnight success.
Perseverance. I always wanted to build things that didn't exist, invent things that weren't there, and I was always a hustler. So even back when I was, I believe this story to be true because my parents have told it so many times. When I was, I think, 5, this is throw way back now to like 1980, 81. Crystal Light was a big deal, and the packets had just come out. You could get 3 packets at Publix for maybe $1.80 or something.
Oh, you are a baby.
So yeah, Crystal Light. These guys, you know what I'm talking about. But packets of lemonade, and like every other 5-year-old, I wanted to run it with summer in Florida, lemonade stand. But unlike the other kids in the neighborhoods who were running lemonade stands, who'd set up a very nice tabletop, and they would design a sign, and they would pass cars, and they'd smile. I realized that was going to take way too long, and I could just take the packets door to door and explain that if they would buy just the packet for 25 cents, they could make lemonade whenever they wanted. And the parents who were buying this would be like, well, aren't you losing money on this? Because you're buying 3 packets for 75 cents, and I'm pretty sure that when I buy it at the store, it's $1.80, $1.90. For the stores, I said, don't worry, my parents are buying all the cost of goods sold. So this is all just profit for me.
You can share that with investors.
It was a hustle. It was great. So you need a little bit of hustle. And it's not trying to make it rich quick, but to have that sort of idea to figure out, is there a way to get your product out there, to do things just a little bit differently, that always occurred to me. And so I always had some hustle going. At any stage in my life, I was figuring out if I could just build this thing, I could sell it for a certain way. If I could, help students get the notes from the previous exam from the upperclassmen, or whatever it was, there was always something going on to try to find new ways of being an entrepreneur. And so I think that was always present, but what I realized is technology changes everything. And my ability to produce a product, to bake a product in a 300-foot-long oven and sell it in the logistics, and that's hard. Software is really easy, right? Every copy I make of my software doesn't cost us almost anything, right? And so the software world, all of your costs go into your first unit, and then everything after that, you're just making great margin. So it's a much easier business to scale massively, right? So it doesn't matter for us if we have the same cost whether 50 dermatologists are using it or 5,000 dermatologists use it. We make a lot more money if 5,000 use it, and so we now have an incentive to get this thing as wide as possible. Now there are some costs in there around support and labor, so it's not entirely 0 or 100% margin. But different businesses, and this, I'm sure you guys are getting into the financials a little, understand the margin profile of what it is you do. And every percentage of margin makes a huge amount of sense, and it's something you need to focus on.
So we're talking about the profitability side when we talk about margin, correct?
That's right.
Just want to make sure I translate. Okay, how about our next question?
Hi, my name is Adam Harold. I'm in 10th grade at Dreyfus School of the Arts, and my business is a not-for-profit service. I have a question for the both of you. What connections do you feel were the most pivotal for your success?
You need all of them. And not to be flip about it, the ability to network is critical. And it was something that you should seize every opportunity to meet as many people, because you never know who will be important at what stage when. You also never know who other people know. And so even before here, you and I had connected, and we realized in 5 minutes that there's a chamber event coming up, and I know a half a dozen people that can help make that event much more successful. And so just network and meet people and put yourself out there, because you really never know who will be needed, whose connections are needed, how they can help you, what they can offer, until you meet a lot of people. So along the way, there's a lot of people that are interesting and fun and enjoyable, but you really don't know until you're out there who will become useful and why.
Exactly, and I can't begin to tell you how many conversations I've started with people that probably others have ignored and just felt were, you just never know who those people are, and what you can learn from them, and what you can do for them, and into what they can do for you. And I think in our industry, relationships, again, with our retailers, with our brokers, with our distributors, I don't think it makes a difference what industry you're in. Your reputation needs to be protected, and you need to make sure that you're always doing your best, and making sure that the word about you is a good one. And I don't think we could have gotten where we were had we not had the relationships that we did. There were times where it was, can you do one more demo? Well, it's not in the contract. That doesn't matter. You want to build a relationship with this retailer, you're going to do one more demo, even if you have to reach deep into your pockets. So, very important.
And if I could, a couple pieces of free advice, just sort of throwing these out there and spitballing for a second. The opportunities to meet people, you never know where they are. The piece of free advice, though, is really around take advantage of your unfair resources and your unfair advantages. So look at where we are, right? We're in South Florida. The number of unbelievably successful executives that retire to this area that still have a lot of good ideas in them, a lot of help, and they want to get involved in some way, shape, or form, maybe not as a mentor, as a formal guide, but you would be blown away as you just sort of walk down any of the streets in these neighborhoods, and you find out that these are people that have been unbelievably successful in their careers as entrepreneurs, as inventors, as engineers, as scientists, and they've retired here. And so, FAU as a university has really gotten a good job, we've done a great job of tapping into this and bringing these resources into the university. But in the positions you're in as entrepreneurs, you should try to figure out who these people are and how to connect with them. I mean, they are here, and believe me, they've got a lot of great experience and great advice to share. So you should really tap into those unfair advantages.
Yeah, people love to talk about what they do, and all you have to do is ask. Sit down, ask them what they love about what they do, what they don't like about what they do. And actually, when I first launched a brownie business, I reached out to SCORE and was able to find one of those volunteers that helped me put this little commercial facility together. I had no idea what kind of mixer to buy, or ovens to buy, or what the best pricing was on it, and they were tremendously helpful. So tap into those resources.
Well, what's nice is we actually have some SCORE volunteers that are mentors
nice.
for our students.
Very nice.
And the other thing that we encourage them to do, there's a reason why this program is done through chambers. And that's because we have a very vast membership, different businesses. In our case, our government partners are chamber members as well. And take advantage of that. When you graduate from this program, you will be a chamber member. So take advantage of all that connectivity and the resources that you have within that too.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Kennedy English, and I'm in 9th grade at Indigo High School. My business is a non-profit service, and my question is for Mr. Kane. What were some of the obstacles you faced starting your business?
So the biggest obstacle is just having people suspend disbelief. Even with the track record that I had from previous companies, trying to get people to invest in the company when we didn't have trailing revenue was impossible. And so it was one of these chicken and egg, right? We needed some resources to be able to get the company sort of proving we could generate revenue, but we couldn't get that done until we had sort of finished more of our product, which is a classic place most entrepreneurs get stuck. So, free advice. The people who see and believe in it are your customers, right? And so it'd be maybe a little awkward for you to go out and have customers invest in your brownie mix, but I bet they would if you would have asked them to say, hey, there's an opportunity for you to get an equity stake in the company, or a loan at a high, whatever instrument you want to use is. But in the case of Modernizing Medicine, we simply had 12 beta customers. We had no revenue. And we asked the beta customers if they'd be available as diligence partners, as sort of people investors would talk to in the process of raising capital. And the beta said, we want to invest. We see where this is going. We believe in it. We believe in you and the team. We'll help fund it. And in the course of a few weeks, we had raised about $3.1 million from our customers. The other thing that changed after that was not only did we have revenue, they insisted that we sell them the software to stop giving it away as beta. And so suddenly we had both cash and revenue. And then after that, all the investors wanted in. So those are sort of little tips you can do. But the biggest obstacle was just getting that inertia going. To go from I have an idea, I have a prototype, I've got a product with a lowercase p, but I don't yet have an uppercase P product with the service and the support, and I certainly don't have the capital C company. So to evolve through those stages, that is the obstacle. That's the game in entrepreneurship, is to go from a concept to a prototype to a little P product, to a big P product, to a big C company. And those are sort of the evolutions you'll go through.
Hi, my name is Austin Knight. I am in 7th grade and I'm homeschooled. My business is a product-based, and I have two of the same questions for both of you. How long did it take to grow your company from when you first began to now? And secondly, what steps did you go through in that process?
Okay. Well, launching Brownie Brittle in 2011, we had about, did a little under, I think I've mentioned through, a little under 500,000 in sales that year. Probably had about 200,000 bags on store shelves. And then 2012, the first half, again, very slow climb. And it was getting the product out there, getting it in the hands of customers like Costco. I can remember this very day in June, I was in New York at an editor's event, and I got a call from our senior VP of sales. We had just sent 2 trailer loads of product to Costco Dallas, and it's very common for Costco to do in and outs. You know, if you're a Costco shopper, you go in there one day, you see something, and the next month you go in there, it's gone. It's a rotation. And I had done a couple rotations with a couple different items in the past, and gearing up with special packaging and spending an enormous amount of money on demos. And so my fingers were crossed when those 2 trailers left the plant that this was going to be more than just a one-time shot. And the message from this gentleman, Chris, was, I called him back and he said, are you sitting down? And I said, I could be. And he said, okay, I just want to let you know, Costco reordered 2 more trailer loads. And I literally sat down on the bed in my hotel room and bawled my eyes out. I thought, you know, this is it. I knew all along if this product were to take off, it would explode if it just had the chance. And soon the other Costco regions, you know, they will watch, see what's going on in other regions, and orders were coming in from the other Costco regions. and I knew we were on our way. But, you know, it took the right packaging. We had to streamline our packaging. We had to get our COGS down. We had to commercialize production. We had to customize equipment. We went from spreading batter, thinning a sheet pan, and baking it off in rack ovens to depositing hundreds of pounds of batter on a band going down a 300-foot tunnel oven. And every piece had to be the exact same height and width. Otherwise, you had centers that weren't crisp and edges that were burned. So a lot of those challenges are along the way, but you know, well worth it.
So tech can grow at a slightly different scale, and not that I'm advocating for anyone to try to pull this one off, because this one hurt to do. But we founded the company in 2010, launched our first prototype in 2011, so that was just kind of a year getting it built. Started selling product really at the end of 2011, call it 2012. Did almost $1 million in the first year of business, so thought we had something. Then did 9, 30, 50, 100 the next few years. So we had exiting the year last year doing about 100 million in revenue, which you can do in software because it doesn't need to scale linearly with your people and your ovens and your inventory. But it's still something that's it's a lot of quite painful growth to grow quite that fast. So there's a healthy amount of growth, and I don't think that that's it. But sometimes you need to be able to keep up with what your customers are demanding and sort of scale and ramp through it. So that was our trajectory. It was really 5 years of growth post-selling the software to a 100 million company.
Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Andrew Weiss. I'm in 8th grade at the Benjamin School. My business is a service-based business, and my question is for both of you. What is the hardest challenge of maintaining a business?
I think for us it's innovating, you know, staying ahead of the competition, keeping it fresh, and most of all, making sure that our customer service is top-notch. Without those two, I hate to say it, ingredients, you know, it's hard to succeed. So, two very important priorities for us.
And I would answer that very similar to the last sort of anecdote. Is the hardest part is growth, and it's sort of, you know, it's a first-class problem to have, and it's the one you want to have as an entrepreneur. But it's still a challenge. It's not easy to grow process and people and facilities, and you know, it's a new challenge every day. Just making sure you've got the right communication pipeline, that the right people have the right information to make the right decisions, that you're taking care of your customer. Because a reputation takes years to build and seconds to break. And so we spend an inordinate amount of time making sure that we do right by our customers, because they know we're scaling as fast as we can. Onboarding literally dozens of people, you know, as we go through each cycle and each wave. So it's a hard challenge to sort of cope with that level of growth, but it's been our challenge to sort of meet, and it's been one we're excited to do.
You can go from 0 to hero and back in seconds.
So we've completed all the questions from our students, so I guess I would like to ask you, do you have any parting thoughts for them, you know, as they walk out of here tonight, that they should keep in mind?
Grit. I mean, I've said it before, you need to be a little bit crazy, you need to be a little bit passionate, but the thing that other people will have told you, I'm sure you've heard it 100 times, is your passion will overcome all of your obstacles, and your dreams will all come true if you just believe. Untrue. As much as I'd love to say, you know, you have to believe in yourself. Very true. You have to have passion. Absolutely true. What will make you successful as an entrepreneur is grit and hard work. And that combined with belief and the right idea and a little bit of luck, you'll be successful.
I think you have to be, same thing, you have to be tenacious. You have to have passion. You have to be a visionary, you have to be versatile, and I think you have to be a little left brain and a little right brain. I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs that I've met are a little bit of both, and if you're not, that's okay, but recognize it. If you're lacking in one area, be sure to reach out to those who have that strength. If you're very artistic, but you're not good with numbers, make sure you've got a good accountant. And if you're very left brain and you're good with numbers, but not very creative, make sure that you partner with somebody who is, because those two traits are, like I said, very important.
That's great. So tenacity, grit, passion, surrounding yourself with the experts you need, being able to recognize that, all really good lessons in addition to this amazing inspirational stories that you heard tonight. So let's give a round of applause to it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And also give a round of applause to our students who worked very hard. I'd like to also recognize Jan Carnes joined us a little bit into the program, but Jan, we really appreciate Hanley Foundation, all that you do and all that you've done for 4 years to support the program. Matt Nason Yeager, thank you so much for supporting us tonight. A couple of things that I want to leave you with in terms of announcements that might be interesting to those of you that are here in the audience and our students. We have one of the most renowned national fine arts festivals that's coming just next door to here, right, Dr. Watlington? FAU, the Mardi Gras Fine Arts Festival. There's a lot going on with that, including entertainment. We have an Artie Kids area. We're also still looking for volunteers, are we not, Angelique? And boy, there's some good community service hours you can get out of this and have a great time. But we have over 300 fine artists. We have a lot going on with entertainment. And what am I missing that I should be saying? Yes, kids, food. Okay, it's just a really, really great time. So if any of you need community service hours, or any of you in the audience know of any students that need community service hours, or you'd like to volunteer, it's a great time. It's our 32nd year doing this, and we have tens of thousands of patrons that come in over a 3-day period, President's Day weekend. So I want to make sure you know about that. And then last but not least, you heard us touch on our investor panel presentation. This is our Shark Tank activity. So you want to make sure you have this on your calendar. That's March 14th. We'll be back here at FAU and the Lifelong Learning Society. Beautiful, beautiful auditorium here on campus, and thank you, Dr. Watlington, FAU, for that. So we actually do have, for those of you that are interested, we do have one more seat left on our investor panel. So if you're interested in that, we'd love to talk to you about that. So again, that's March 14th. And with that, I would say thank you very much. Have a great rest of the week, and hopefully we'll see you at Mardi Gras and the investor panel. Students, let's go for a photograph. Thank you all. Have a great night.
I mean, overall, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah. Aren't we open? Yeah.
I'm short enough I can walk right under my...
How you doing? I'm Ivan Rosa. I work with Ali. Yeah. No, she's terrific. She's terrific. She's great, very good. That's right. Yeah, that's what's your dream? To have a daughter life insurance agent. Sure, that's a goal. Can't have any more controlled policies. You're limited on that. She's terrific. She really is. Ronnie Brittle, supporting the...
Oh yeah, you gotta pick it back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotta get back to your person or
I see different colors. I get it. But you want to make sure that my work is represented.
Get on the squeeze.
Yeah.